Tonight's species is one of Florida's inshore favorites. They are big, strong, and when you hook one, the first run shows off their power. Their big mouth and black line down their side is an easy way to identify them. Tonight, it's all about the snook here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to another glorious week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. I'm in a very good mood today. You're lucky because we are talking all about snook, which is my favorite inshore species to catch. And we've seen some monster snooks being caught in the last couple months, right, Rick?
Absolutely, and I know that you caught a real monster one over this past weekend, doing your girl fishing thing and rocking the house, smoking some big ones.
It was
I
fun.
really like the pictures. Maybe we'll get to see one later.
Hopefully. All right, well, I know Dave has something wonderful prepared for us over at the CCA Workbench. Don't you, Dave?
Yeah, I do. We got a lot of big fish coming up. You know, we got how to catch them on the top water, how to catch them on the flare hawk jigs, catch them a lot of different ways. So
Absolutely, and you know what? Top
Snook.
water bite is my favorite.
Oh boy.
It's my favorite. Everything's my favorite today. I'm just in a good mood. All
I'm
right,
the
well,
favorite.
you're my favorite today. 'Tis the season, the snook season, which is opening Tuesday, and the full moon is Monday, so timing is perfect. And in the Fish Bites East region, Mike Holliday says this will be the last big push of spawning fish through the inlets. Tell us more, Mike.
That's pretty much it, Brie. The full moon Monday, season opens Tuesday. That we should have a whole week of fish right there coming into the inlets to spawn, and also around the beaches within 100 yards of the inlets. Opening week should be amazing. Live croakers, sand perch, pilchards, and thread fins are going to be the top baits around the inlets in the daytime. But after dark, swimming plugs and the R&R flare hawk jigs are going to be money on those fish. We got some rain on the back of Hurricane Laura, and that's kind of opened the spillways in Jupiter, Palm City, and Port St. Lucie. So the snook bite is still pretty strong in those locations for the guys that are throwing jigs, swimming plugs, and fishing live tilapia. What's really cool is the first of the mullet are schooling on the flats, and we're going to see a general move for the snook inshore and on the beaches to start feeding on those mullet. At the same time, places like the Lake Worth and Juneau Piers are going to have great snook fishing on live pilchards, grunts, and sardines. There's also a lot of minnows still on the beach, so look for there to be good snook catches this week in places like Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, Walton Rocks, South Jetty, and Fort Pierce. You can target those fish with a copper juice colored saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad, or you can fish a live mullet or even just a silver spoon and do well. Average snook's going to be 8 to 20 pounds. I have a photo. That's Robert Page with a nice snook. He caught that off a seawall in the Loxahatchee River, and that fish ate a topwater plug, which will be a good lure to throw as well. The other thing, we're starting to see the mullet schools ball up on the flats and around the bridges of the Indian, St. Lucie, and Loxahatchee Rivers. Tarpon are blowing them up at dawn and dusk and after dark. Places like the Roosevelt Bridge and the Stewart Causeway, Big and Little Mud Creeks, the channel leading into the Moorings Development Vero Beach. All those areas have a lot of tarpon on them right now. The best action's when there's not a lot of people around. There's also good concentrations of tarpon around the inlets and wherever there's minnow schools on the beach. As the mullets start to push on the beach, look for the north side of the inlets to have tarpon staging at them at dawn and dusk. That's when the mullet are going to move through the inlets in big schools, and the tarpon will be there to eat them. You can target those fish with a live mullet on a 6.0 to 9.0 Mustad inline circle hook, 60-pound fluorocarbon leader, and 30 to 50-pound braided line. I go heavier to try and get them in quicker so they have better survival rate. Most of the mullet are in that 10 to 14-inch size range, so a lot of tarpon that are on there are pretty big. Freeline the baits out behind the boat. You can use your trolling motor to move your baits in front of any rolling or feeding fish. And you can also put a dead bait out on the bottom, but you'll probably pick up a few sharks that way as well. Average tarpon in our region is going to be 80 to 120 pounds, but we'll see fish, from 10 pounds on up.
All right, let's go offshore, Hollywood.
Well, what the late season kingfish bite off Palm Beach County has been lacking in numbers, it's been producing in size. There's been kingfish caught daily in the 30 to 40 pound class with the best concentration of fish working the reefs in 120 to 150 feet of water from the breakers off Palm Beach north all the way up to Jupiter Inlet. At the same time, there's good concentration of those school kings on the 8 Mile Reef, the Ernst Reef, Rubble. Those are out of St. Lucie Inlet. And also some good fishing along the 112-foot reef dead off the St. Lucie power plant. Target the kings with live goggle eyes, blue runners, mullet, or thread fins. Put them out on a wire stinger rig or triple hook Palm Beach rig with just a little bit of weight on it. You can also troll rig mullet or ballou or ribbon fish if you can get one. Put it out on a down rig or a planer and work the outside edges of the bait schools and you'll get plenty of action. I got a photo. That's Chris and Curtis Bishop with a nice school-sized king that Curtis caught on a live redfin. The other thing offshore, the wind and rough seas early in the week have stirred up the water on the reefs. It's calm now. That's got the mangrove snapper chewing in 65 to 85 feet of water, really throughout the entire region. The big fish bite has been at night, but the daytime bite has also been pretty stellar. I've had good reports from anglers fishing the wrecks, like the shrimp boat and the Halsey wreck, and also the natural reefs like the 6 Mile Reef and the Loran Tower Ledge. You want to target those mangroves with live or dead sardines, pilchards, or thread fins. Fish them on a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader, a 4.0 choke-arm circle hook. You can also fish, a chicken rig with a strip of bonito or barracuda or even just a chunk of squid. The average mangrove snapper is going to be 2 to 3 pounds, but there's fish to 10 pounds being caught right now. And just so you can see a good one, that's Brenna Corn Props with a nice 25-inch mangrove snapper. She caught that fish in 80 feet of water off Jensen Beach. She was fishing with Salty Days charters, and that fish ate a live pilchard.
Man, I'd be smiling like that too. All right, tell us about the bass fishing.
Well, everyone's talking about the bass bite at the Fellsmere Reservoir Headwaters Lake Complex there in Fellsmere. It's amazing. If you get on the water in dark, you can take advantage of the frog bite or spinnerbait bite, and you can even fish some topwater plugs on the edges of the hydrilla. That bite's over by 7:30, but you can still work the grass with a black with blue tail or watermelon candy-colored bass assassin. You fish either the little tapper or the tap-out worm and just crawl it across the grass fairly fast, or fish the edges of the grass and edges of the hydrilla beds with that same worm rig Senko style and just let it sink a little bit and twitch it. By midday, it's time to work the deeper holes with an 8-inch Junebug colored worm rig Texas style, or work a spinnerbait over the submerged grass. The bite's slowing down in the midday heat, but it picks up after the rainstorms and it picks up again right before dark. I've heard stories of 100-fish days, but most of the anglers I'm hearing from are catching 30 to 40 fish, 20 to 40 fish, let's say that, with a lot of 3, 4, and 5 pounders in the mix, and everybody seems to be getting 1 over 6 pounds every day. Crowds are bad on the weekend. It's only going to get busier as the word gets out about this new fishery, because Headwaters Lake is probably now the most talked about bass fishery in Florida.
All right, thank you so much, Hollywood. It's time to take a look at the T&H Marine hotspots. He says inshore, the flounder around the catwalks of Jensen Beach, Causeway, live finger mullet on a 1/2-ounce jig head or a white curly tail grub. And then offshore, sailfish and kingfish in 120 feet of water on the 8 Mile Reef off of Stewart. Live thread fins, pilchards, and trolled ballyhoo's going to work for them, Brie.
I saw some video of us fishing on Sunday in the Fish Bites East region.
You did?
I did. That looked pretty good.
All right.
That was a really fun day.
That was some good stuff you caught right there with Hollywood.
It was, yes. It was an awesome day. All right, another snook haven is in the Startron Central West region, where Captain Jeff Page knows how to catch them. We've done it before. Go for it, Page. Tell them how it's done.
Okay, I will real quick. God bless the folks in Louisiana and Texas. This ain't their first rodeo, but just keep them in your prayers, everybody.
Absolutely.
Anyway, you know what? Like you said, Brie, you've come and caught them with me. Rick, you've caught them with me. And in the Startron Central West region, we have no shortage of snook. And I'll tell you what, with all the adversity that we've had since 2010, being the freeze and then the red tides of 2018, our snook fishery is probably as strong as I've seen it in a long time. And you know what? A lot of it is due to the closures that they put on from CCA right on down to FWC. And it's really helped. Another year being closed is only going to help it even be stronger. Probably our best months for catching big snook are the summer months, like Mike said, June, July, and even into August, around the full moons and new moons, can produce lots of fish over 40 inches. We get a lot of our fish in our inlets and passes around bridges and structure. So some of the better baits for that time of year have been live mullet, live ladyfish, and live grunts. Although some of our big fish are taking on big chunks of mullet or dead ladyfish on the bottom. Now we also have a good beach fishery, especially for guys that like to walk the beach with fly rods. I suggest using a 6 or 8 weight because you're not going to hook any giants, and you're going to have a lot more fun pulling on a 22 to 24 inch snook on a little 6 weight fly rod than you are with a big heavier one. Small white clousers will get the job done, and you want to cast parallel to the beach. It's a sight fishing game. You're going to see the fish laid up. Some of the beaches that are really good for that are Minnesota Beach, and then up on the north end of Longboat Key, right on up into Bradenton Beach. If you like throwing lures, right now is a good time for topwater plug fishing. I like throwing them on the higher stages of the tide around oyster bars and mangrove islands where there's big schools of bait. Some of the flats that have those areas right now, Bull and Turtle Bay down to the south, Teresita Bay and Palmasola Bay to the north. And as you know, Rick, in the wintertime, I like to go in the backcountry and fish potholes on negative low tides with soft plastics, with saltwater assassin, golden brim, 4-inch sea shad on a 1/4 ounce chartreuse jig head. And that'll get the job done when the snook push back into the backcountry. I've got 3 snook photos tonight, so we're gonna go through them real quick. My first one is of my wife, Lady Di, with her personal best on a topwater plug. My second one is a man named Mr. Mark Hawley with a big one he caught with Captain Matt Davey of Inshore Attic Charters out of Sarasota. And third, good friend of the show, Kelly and Carly Gorski, wife and daughter of CCA President BG Brian Gorski.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Paige. Go ahead and tell us what's going on inshore with the mangrove snappers. I love the pictures.
You know what? This has been probably one of the best inshore mango seasons we've had in a few years. And it's the only species in our region that you're able to harvest right now. So look for those fish around docks, pilings, and bridge fenders and rock piles in all our inlets, and also on the grass flats just inside the inlets. A good way to tell if they're there, if there's a lot of fry bait around, you're going to not only see them, but you're going to catch them immediately. And you can catch them on soft plastics as well as a small little #1 size circle hook on light 12 or 15 pound fluorocarbon leader. And if you're having a hard time getting your bait down, clip his tail off or put a small split shot on. Got a mango photo tonight of happy clients of Captain John Gunter of a nice limit of inshore mango snapper. Moving offshore, staying in the snapper category. You know, and I don't mention it enough, but we have a really strong yellowtail snapper fishery, and this summer's been a really good bite. Captain Jason Stock's been doing well, 110 to 150 feet of water, and he said the basic has been chumming light to get the fish up and then keep the chum flowing or put a chum block out to keep them behind the boat. Small hook, light leader's been the same game, and you're going to catch some really nice yellowtails just like in this photo. That's his first mate, Carter, with a really nice pair of yellowtails that he caught on full stand with Captain Jason Stock. Man. And to wrap it up tonight, it's late summer, and that means one thing: big amberjacks. Captain Jason, as well as Captain Tim Noah, reporting good, healthy amberjacks up to 30 pounds, holding on wrecks, ledges, and springs in 110 feet of water on out. And they've been getting them on a variety of baits: pinfish, blue runners, and they've also been vertical jigging them. And then Captain Jason, he's been known to chum them up with pilchards and get them on top and then throw surface plugs at the AJs, which can be a lot of fun. And I've got my last photo tonight, some happy clients with Captain Jason with a pair of nice amberjacks.
All right, that's a good report tonight, Captain Page from the StarTron Central West region. Great pictures. I appreciate all your effort this week. And it is time to take a look at the Daiquiri Deck hotspots. He says inshore snook fish the Anna Maria City Pier or the Rod and Reel Pier at night with live pinfish or silver mullet for the big snooks. And then offshore, lots of AJs holding on the hard bottom areas and ledges in 130 feet of water off of Venice. Use live pinfish or blue runner. That's going to be the best bait, Brie.
I am still just flabbergasted at those yellowtails. Those
They're
are huge.
studs, man.
Studs. All right, if you plan on heading to the Keys this weekend, stay tuned because I can't talk when you're talking on me. What you gonna do?
I'm just thinking about how I'd have that yellowtail.
He's thinking about yellowtail. All right, stay tuned because we're headed to Paradise next. But first, let's see what kind of paradise Dave Farrell can put us in with his rigs and techniquing skills at the CCA workbench.
That's right. This is what do you call this thing? This is the Bomber Long A. This was the king of snook baits in Sebastian Inlet when I was growing up.
It still is, Bub.
Still
The Long
king.
A Bomber. All right, we'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats, always in the game. Noble Air Charters, raising the bar yet again. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Sirius XM Marine, weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. And Daiquiri Deck, Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Reliability. Yamaha is legendary for it. But it's more than a legend. It's something boaters have come to value. Why? Because it's rare. Because in this fast-paced, single-use world, few things are built to last. So when we find something that is, we hold on for dear life, to friendships, to traditions, to outboards. Because it's the lucky few who get to spend as much time on the water as they'd like. The rest of us, we look forward to those precious few days. That makes every second sacred. Every moment mean that much more. And it drives us to wring the most of every minute we get on the water, having incredible adventures, fighting the fish, making unforgettable memories. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters choose Yamaha for the long run. For life. Because reliability starts here.
What started in the flats and bays has migrated offshore. GPS-guided trolling motor technology has moved to boats in the 35-plus foot class and allowed anchoring capabilities on most center consoles in any depth of water. From snook and redfish inshore to grouper and swordfish way out deep. Rodan Marine Systems has a GPS anchor to hold your vessel on location. Set it, forget it, catch more fish.
The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. Alvi Sidecast reels allow you to cast over 150 yards with up to 900 yards of capacity. Alvi's state-of-the-art drag and 22-inch retrieve rate per wine is perfect for any surf challenge. Alvi reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the Alvi also comes with a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alvius.com.
Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and it is time for the Academy Rigs and Techniques. So, Dave, why don't you tell us about what we're going to use to catch a big snook?
Well, everything here will catch a big snook as long as I'm not holding it.
That's all you need to know. Okay, that's it. Where are we going next, Brie?
I actually went this morning and flailed away at him and didn't catch one. But, hey, I don't catch them every time. So
I think you're like Samson. We cut all your curls off.
that's
and
what
you
happened.
Can't
I
catch
got no
anything
power.
now.
I lost all my power. Well, right now, the snooker in the inlets, because it's summertime, they gravitate toward the inlet because this is when they spawn and they get in there. Those big females, this is the time when we catch those giant females. It's catch and release only now because we're trying to make sure that those females get to do what they're doing there. And so we catch them and let them go. We have a very strict limit on snook in Florida. We have 28 to 32 inches. So, when September 1st rolls around, if you want to keep one, you have to have a snook stamp. You have to have a Florida saltwater license, and you have to catch them after September 1st.
Inside
and they have to be in that limit to keep them,
yeah.
Which, is a really good thing because, snook are cyclical in Florida. We're pretty much at their northern range You know, they don't get even in North Florida up in Destin. There, you don't catch many snook up in there. You're not going to catch many past St. Augustine.
Right.
You know, most of them are between St. Augustine and all the way around the Keys and up to around Cedar Key, Crystal River area, and that's about as far north as they go. They can't stand cold, so every 4 years or so, when we have a really cold, big cold spell, or even a real hot spell and have a red tide, it knocks back our snook population. So, you know, when I was a kid living in the Cape Canaveral area, there was hardly any snook because we had some really huge freezes in the early 80s, and they had knocked them back really hard, and it took them a long time to get back over there. But the East Coast, the snook have a little better chance of getting out into the deeper water and warmer water and live better. So, you know, we catch a lot more of them over there. And now, when they're in the inlets, a lot of guys target them with live baits, like a live croaker, if there was this was a croaker, that's a little croaker bait. A live croaker on like a 6/0 circle hook, you know, an eagle claw circle hook, trocar circle hook. If you have a big bait, you might want to go with a little bigger hook, you know.
Right.
But one little trick to do is to, instead of just putting the hook through the nose of the bait, is use a rubber band and bridle it up just like you would a pilchard offshore. What that does is What that does is it gets that circle hook out in front of that bait, you know, a good inch, you know, if you don't really tighten it down real hard. And when you do that, when that snook swallows the bait whole, which is what they do, they don't have a lot of teeth, they don't cut things up, they inhale. And when they swallow that bait whole and you go to set the hook and pull it out of his mouth, that hook reaches the jaw before the bait, which is very important. If the hook gets to the corner of the jaw before the bait, it has a much better chance of getting into the slot and getting into the jaw where it's supposed to do. Right. Is that thing gonna whip you?
No, man. You just can't see.
I got you. I know what you mean. Plus, it's a white rubber band. But those are R&R rubber bands, R&R Tackle, and the needle as well. So what you do is you put those on a fish finder rig. You know, a good outgoing tide is generally the best if you're fishing in an inlet, because it brings all that dirty water out. Kind of, you know, if you're fishing in a place where there's high visibility water on an incoming tide, you might not get as many bites because the water's nice and clean and clear. And, you know, snook can be very, very picky, especially when they're getting hammered in these inlets. So a live bait and a 40-pound or 60-pound fluorocarbon leader on a fish finder rig, fished on the bottom, is going to get you a really good bait. I mean, a good bite. Now, at nighttime is a great time to fish for snooks. Snooks love the time when we're all asleep. From midnight to 5 o'clock in the morning is a great time to catch snook, especially when there's a tide change in that time.
Very nocturnal.
Yeah, they love to be, you know, they like it quiet, you know, and which is really strange because a lot of times we catch them in some places that aren't that quiet, but you know, spillways and places like that. But they seem to bite better in that nighttime. And if you can, when you get that tide changing and the water's moving really good, is when you throw these flare hawks at night, throw them up current and let them bounce on the bottom. Now, a lot of these lures, and you know, they've worked best on the bottom, and you're going to lose a lot of them if you fish them properly.
Right.
So, you know, make sure you bring 10 or 11, you know, with you, and let those things sweep down and bounce on the bottom, and, you know, you'll get more bites that way. When you feel that thump, that's when you set the hook on.
Now, what about if you're not fishing in an inlet, like you're fishing in Ronnie's region or my region, or Paige doesn't use any of these big things? He uses stuff like the Bass Assassin with a quarter-ounce jig head thrown into potholes.
Exactly. I've done that with him, especially in the wintertime, in that back country where the mud gets warm, and that black mud will put off heat, and those snook will get way up in that. You think, why would they be in this shallow water? Well, it's because all that decomposition in that mud creates heat, and you can get back in that backcountry and throw those little jigs and stuff and catch those little, you know, 2 to 10 pound little snook back in there and just tear them up.
And people need to remember that this deep of water heats up a lot faster than this deep of water.
Exactly. So it kind of goes against your common sense. And that's why they get back up in there and can live so great. Another good thing to do is to toss topwater plugs, you know, Zara spooks or those mirror lures, any, you know, Top Dog. flipping that thing back and forth early in the morning along a seawall where you've seen, fish popping. That's a great thing to do. And, snook are just a great fish once they eat anyway. They start
Walking the
jumping.
dog, baby.
Yeah.
Walking
All
that
right.
dog.
You need to walk us
That's
to
good
another
stuff.
region
That
there,
walking the
Toots.
dog is just mesmerizing to me. All right, you can accomplish just about anything in the Florida Keys when it comes to species, and Captain Randy Tao has the snook on lockdown. So Randy, tell us where they're at.
Hey, good evening, snook fans. Here in the Garmin Keys region, we've got snook throughout the region and to the west around Flamingo. So it's a fish that everybody likes to take advantage of at times, and conditions are key. Right now, the backcountry fishing around the Flamingo area is still very strong, and I love July, August, and September time of year to catch big snook in the backcountry, especially on live bait along the shorelines, along the beaches and the channels. Now, if you're a technical poling guy and you get up on the flats and you've got a boat that gets up there, they're having some really good fishing in that 2 feet of water as well. A lot of sight fishing and a lot of fish holding up in potholes. And believe it or not, when you see some prop scars going through a flat, sometimes they use that as a highway. So don't underestimate, there might be a fish swimming in that prop scar, and you want to keep your eye on that to make your cast. Soft plastics and gold spoons, copper color spoons work really well on top of the flats. That's what a lot of the guys are using. I like pinfish this time of year. I've become a bait guy with my Contender bay boat. So a 3-ounce jig head with a live pinfish, I'm going to get the job done pretty much every time. And it's something I really enjoy doing. And I've got a photo of Ralph Shepard from Vero Beach with his supersized snook in the backcountry.
Nice. What else you got for us inshore, Randy?
The permit this time of year can be really good. Now, the timing, again, you've got conditions, you've got moon, new moon, and full moon where those tides are strong, and these permit are going to school up. They're going to come in from the Gulf, and a lot of the permit fishing this time of year is done on the bay side and the shallow wrecks in the Gulf. Now, depending on where you're fishing, you're going to want to use live crabs, and for me, the smaller crabs lately have been working really good on a 1/4 ounce jig head. Something that gets down, when they see that crab and they see it sinking, that's their green light to bite it. So you want to have a little bit of lead on your crab when you throw it, because you don't want it floating on the surface, and that really will help you. And the guys that are up on the flats, they got the hard bottom where you have a corally edge on the outside rim of a flat. That's another good place to look for permit if you're in a flats boat in shallow water. But you also want to keep in mind the bull sharks. There's a lot of predators right now that are following these permit schools, and it's not uncommon for your permit to get eaten by a shark. So you just got to be aware of your surroundings. Don't let them get a lot of line out. Try to keep up with them, and that way you don't get the bull sharks to get them. I've got a photo of Clark Harrod from Colorado with his permit. He got away from the bull sharks.
All right. Let's go offshore, bub.
Blackfin tuna is still pretty strong. We've had some overcast conditions. We've had some really good fishing and hard current. The current Gulf Stream has been inshore over top of these humps. Alamorada, Marathon, and the tuna fishing has been really strong. Now, depending how you want to go about it, if you're a trolling guy, if you're a live bait guy, a vertical jig guy, you all have your time in which you can catch a fish out there. And it seems the morning bite has been best with the guys trolling. And then as you get into the middle of the day, the guys are using vertical jigs. And then in the late afternoon, 2 hours before that sun sets, some of these guys go out there with live bait, live pilchards, and they really do a big job catching these bigger tunas on the live bait, because the live bait gets them up to the surface and it allows those bigger ones to beat the small ones to the bait. And nobody does it better than Captain Brian Cohn on the Contagious out of Robbie's with his angler Heidi with a marathon hump blackfin tuna.
Nice. Looking good.
Fun.
All right, that's sushi.
Yeah,
What
it
else?
is.
What else you got?
This fish bite has still been really steady, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this one in particular because, you go out there with fresh bait, whether it's a belly strip from a bonita or a dolphin or a barracuda even. And those belly strips really work good because the swordfish can hit it several times without it getting tore up, unlike a squid, where if he hits it a couple of times, it tears it up and you got to wind it up and do it again. 1,500 feet to about 1,650 seems to be the depth. If you're off Marathon or Alamorada, really doesn't seem to matter. And 65 to 80 pound braided line, and you're using about 10 pounds of lead to get to the bottom. And this photo that I'm going to show is again from Captain Brian Cohn on the Contagious, but Will and Heidi are very big fans of the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and they've been fishing with Brian for the last couple of days. And Brian's mate, Sean O'Donnell, with Alamorada Swordfish Baits, is cutting strips out of fish bites, and this picture is the results of that fish bite that they were using the other day.
All right. Hey, Randy, find out what size shirts they wear. We'll make sure we send them some fish bites as well as Florida Insider Fishing Report shirts. What do you say about that? That's awesome that they caught that on fish bites. All right, man, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Sunset Inn hotspots from the Florida Keys region. Inshore snook fish the incoming tide around the Flamingo area on the top of the flats, and also the shorelines with live pin fish on a 1/4 ounce jig head. And then offshore, blackfin tunas fish early in the morning or late in the day with dark feathers trolled way back and bring lots of live bait to the target to catch those big ones. What do you think?
Look at Fish Bites living up to their name.
Man, when we were in Texas,
this size to this size.
When we were in Texas, we had 4 bites on fish bites, and I muffed it. I blew it. I didn't catch him on the fish bite.
Oh, man. Well, don't worry, they got your back.
Yeah.
All right, Rick, remember when we were talking about the Key West Marlin tournament a while back?
Yeah.
Well, we have an update on who won. The boat Mystically with Kim Hooper was the overall winner, and the boat On Course with Bill Curry finished second. So congratulations, guys and gals. That is awesome. If any of you guys want to be a part of this tournament next year, coinciding with the annual Hemingway Days celebration in Key West, they're offering a special early entry fee from now until the end of the month. Pretty cool.
Maybe we should go do that.
Okay.
Let's go do that.
Let's go. For
Dave,
more information and to sign up, make sure to head to keywestmarlin.com. But East Side, you're up. We're headed to the Bells Central East and Casa Vieja Southeast regions. We return here only on the Florida Insider Fishing Report Snook Week. We'll be right back.
All right.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. Garmin, join the club. Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealership, serving Southeast and Southwest Florida and Florida's Space and Treasure Coasts. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
Every year, Noble Air Charter flies over 20,000 outdoorsmen and families just like you, economically, to over 300 Bahamian and Florida destinations. Noble Air Charter makes a substantial investment improving booking and aircraft route planning to create the most affordable and economical flight possible. And tomorrow, Noble Air's team will rise to the challenge to raise the bar yet again.
Navigating at night can be dangerous, even for the most experienced drivers. With over 400,000 pixels, Night Track makes it possible to navigate in the dark with confidence. Night Track seamlessly interfaces with all multifunction displays, 2013 or newer, and offers boaters or the outdoorsman peace of mind at an affordable price. For more information, call 251-605-9100.
Welcome back. We're kicking it into gear with our Captain Jim Ross in the Bells Central East region with snook reports and more. Go for it, Jim.
Oh, we got a whole bunch of snook in my region. You can start anywhere in the backwaters of our ditches and creeks and go all the way out to our nearshore reefs and wrecks throughout the year. But anglers that are targeting snook over the next 2 months are really going to want to look at our inlets and beaches. We've got in preparation for the fall mullet run. We've got our mullet that are starting to run north of the beach right now. And so the fish are starting to key in on that. And as the fish in the northeast region and then in southern Georgia and South Carolina, as those mullets start working their way out of those backwater creeks and then running back down the beaches in that fall mullet run that we all look for, that's when the beaches and the inlets just become great. And so September and October, these next 2 months, are going to be fantastic months for looking for snook. And Canaveral, Ponce Inlet, Sebastian, doesn't really matter where you want to go. They're all going to have fish at them. I've got a photo here. My son, Captain Justin, with a pretty good little hookup that they did as one of those pods of mullet came running around the tip of the jetty at Canaveral there. And of course, you can see there's a snook or redfish. They're all running around right in behind those mullet eating those things.
Yes, sir.
And then staying offshore, tilefish right now is still really, really good. The guys and gals that are getting out and doing the deep dropping in 500 to 600 feet of water have been having some honestly, some of the catches are remarkable. Tilefish well over 20 pounds are common catches on most days out there. And you can get bonus fish like yellow edge grouper and other, rosefish, other things like that when you're out there deep dropping. Now, if you're looking for something to take home for dinner, this is your best bet in the next couple of weeks, because our dolphin bite's going to be slow, our kingfish bite's going to be slow, but deep dropping for those tiles is going to be fantastic. Now, most of the guys are running out anywhere from about 35 to 60 miles. And so you've got to make sure that you've got a big enough boat to be able to do this and safely do it, or have yourself an XM Sirius Marine weather system on your boat so you can see weather coming at you. Swinging inshore, redfish right now are doing really good. And I got a report from Captain Brian Pounce of SouthernFishingChartersFL.com. And he's reporting that the outside edges of the flats, those deeper flats on the Mosquito Lagoon side of our Tri-Lagoon area, seem to be holding quite a few larger reds right now. And he's using cut pinfish or live pinfish on a circle hook. Brian was saying that the bigger bulls are staging in their pre-spawning type of ritual. So you'll see them actually float a little bit and then sink down, float up a little bit and sink down. He says approach them slowly, make casts out in front of the school, and you should be able to get one like Gene Velop caught, I believe it's Velop, from Oviedo when he was out fishing with Captain Brian. And that's a pretty nice sized bull red up there in the Mosquito Lagoon.
You got it.
And then my last species is bass. Captain Jonathan Wilson was telling me that he's been doing really good over on Lake Toho in the mornings here recently. And right now the fish are schooling up and they're busting shad at first light. Jonathan prefers to get in there and throw topwater plugs and swim baits, or he likes to throw frogs as well over those schooling fish. And Jonathan was telling me that there's two different types of frogs, and one has the legs that kick kind of like a little paddle tail. And then there's other ones that have the multi-filament legs that are just kind of stream behind. He likes the kicking legs better because he says they're almost like pulling a little buzzbait along, and the bass are reacting really well to that commotion right now. And they're getting 20 to 30 bass sometimes before 8:30 in the morning. And then they're switching over and they're throwing bigger live wild shiners when they can get them next to hydrilla or any kind of an edge or a mat. Because as the sun gets up in the sky, those fish are tucking back under those shaded areas. And he says most of the bass right now in the schooling bass are running 10 to 14 inches, and the bigger bass are running 5 to 8 pounds. And I've got a picture here of Captain Jonathan with one of his anglers named Kim, who came over from Tampa to fish with him, and one of the bass that they caught on one of their recent trips.
Hey, nice pictures this week. It's cool to see a redfish and 2 snooks out of the inlet up north. That's cool, Jim. Thank you so much for sending that to us.
Definitely.
All right, bud, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine hotspots from the East region. He says inshore, the area inlets for snook and redfish use live croaker, pinfish, or mullet on a standard bottom rig. Deep drop for tilefish offshore and groupers in 500 to 600 feet of water. They exchange a cut and whole squid for a delicious fillet. You know, Brie, he was talking about the Sirius XM weather. We were 168 miles off the Gulf, off of Naples, filming at Sportsman's Adventures. When we headed in, at 46 miles from the coast was a line of showers that went from Key West to Fort Myers. In the black of night, we were running back at 9:30 at night, using night tracks on one screen on the Garmin, and the Sirius XM weather allowed us to pick a hole through all of this lightning and get home safe. It was amazing. Scary for a little while, but without the Sirius XM, it would have been a big problem.
Need the right equipment, that's for sure. All right, in the Casa Vieja Southeast region, snook steal the spotlight when it comes to inshore fishing. So let's hear from Captain Jimbo Thomas and see just where you can find them. Hello, Jimbo.
Hey, Bree. Hey, Rick. And hello, Dave. Yep, snook are one of the most popular inshore species here in the Southeast region. They can be found in just about any body of water, and there's probably as many caught from the boat as by up on the shore as by the boat. How's that sound? All the lit bridges and docks of the ICW are great places to look for snook, as well as any of the inlets, creeks, mangrove shorelines, off the beaches, and also in a lot of the freshwater lakes and canals. Most popular baits are live shrimp, live mullet, pinfish, pilchards, croakers, bucktail jigs, soft plastics, swimming plugs, and jerk baits. Now, the basic snook tackle is medium to heavy spin or plug casting tackle with 12 to 30 pound braid or mono, and then you want to use 30 to 50 pound fluoro or monofilament leader. And when you're using live baits, you want to use a circle hook since most of these fish are released. Now, lately, all of the inlets have been snook fishing hotspots. You want to fish live baits on a Jupiter rig, or you can put a live bait on a 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce jig head. And you can also try bouncing jigs along the bottom with those live baits. And then the best fishing is going to be in the evenings on any tide, just as long as that water is moving. I got a photo here, and this is Rick Arnold with a nice overslot Oceanside snook. Nice silver one there.
Yeah, bud, looks good.
Staying inside, with this hot and sometimes rainy weather that we've been experiencing, it's gotten those peacock bass fired up. The peacocks are being found in all of the local lakes and canals of Dade and South Broward counties. They're biting small live minnows, shiners, jerk baits, and chartreuse, 1/4 ounce jigs, and soft plastics in dark colors. And if you want to catch one on fly tackle, try using a small Clouser minnow fly in red and white or green and white. Now look for these peacocks to bite best in the middle of the day in areas that have current and clean water. And you look for them around the spillways, bridge columns, and also any other structure. Now moving offshore, dolphin fishing in the past week has been very consistent. Most of the fish are being caught around floating debris and weed lines, and the bulk of that grass and the stuff floating has been roughly 8 to 10 miles offshore. And there have also been birds working over most of those fish, so keep an eye out for the birds. The fish are eating trolled baits and lures, and then once we locate those fish, we've been pitching live and cut baits to them. And most of the fish have been decent schoolies in the 4 to 6 pound range, and there have been some larger ones mixed in. Now, also the nighttime snapper bite is still going on strong. There's still plenty of mangrove snappers in the 2 to 5 pound range, and there's also muntins and yellowtails mixed in. Look for any good reef bottom in the 40 to 80 foot range. That's been holding these fish. You want to fish a knocker rig with just enough weight to hold bottom and a 1/0 to 3/0 hook and 30 to 40 pound monofilament or fluorocarbon leaders. Now, the best baits have been cut bonito and sardines or live pilchers and goggle eyes. And more often than not, those pilchers and goggle eyes are going to come up if you got your lights on. You can drop down an R&R sabiki, catch some live baits, and fire those things back down for bait. And most of those larger fish have been eating those fresh caught liveys.
All right, Jimbo, great report. From the Casa Vieja Southeast region, it is time for the R&R Tackle Hotspots, so let's take a look inshore. Look for the snook in the inlets and around the jetties and off the beaches in the late afternoon and evenings using live and artificial baits. And then offshore, try to have some bait in the well and some cut bait ready and head 8 to 12 miles offshore and search for the weed lines and floating debris that have been holding the dolphin.
So question,
Yes?
redfish is obviously number 1. What is your number 2, snook or trout?
Oh, snook.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that big mouth and comes up, eats all the kinds of artificials. You just, when you hook one, like I said, in the cold open,
Fun. It's a fun fight.
Adios, amigos.
Adios, amigos. Look at you speaking Spanish.
How about it?
How about it? All right, looks like we're headed to the Alvy Reels Northeast region when we come back. But first, we are seeing what new products Dave brought for us to drool over at the CCA workbench.
Oh,
It would be
Ooh.
snook for me too, by the way.
Okay.
And snook love to eat these things as well.
They be drooling over those for sure.
Yep.
Dave's
Just
lying.
like me.
Dave's lying.
You
Dave
lie like
is
a
lying.
rug.
He
We'll
is
be right
Blue
back.
Marlin man.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Ameritrail. Load. Launch. Relax. Real Legends. Exclusively at Bell's. Okuma. Inspired Fishing. Discover Crystal River, Florida. And Maverick Boat Group. Makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
At the pinnacle of super high output, 4-stroke outboard performance, you'll find Yamaha VMAX SHO. Yamaha's game-changing SHO technology. From exhilarating V6 models to the sleek inline 4s, there's a VMAX SHO for everything from bass to bonefish. It's an extended family of 4-strokes engineered for lightweight, inspiring performance, and rock-solid reliability. Discover VMAX SHO and elevate your expectations.
Stetson Blaylock, Todd Auden, Head Fury, let's go!
Garmin Live Scope, I tell you right now, if you don't have it, you are behind. It's just wild. It's like a video game.
If you do not have that Garmin Live Scope, you are definitely missing out.
Bassmaster Classic Champion!
Here in the Florida Keys, we're doing our best to keep guests and residents safe from COVID-19. Here's how you can help. Please respect each other and wear masks in public places. Please don't gather in large groups and maintain 6 feet of separation. Take 20 seconds and wash your hands with soap and water or use hand sanitizer. Enjoy the Florida Keys and stay safe. For more details, go to flakeys.com.
White.
We're still at the CCA workbench, man. If people only knew what we were talking about during commercial breaks. That's the best part when you have live audiences. You had to clean up your act, Dave.
I don't
All right,
know.
where are we starting tonight?
We're going to start with the Starbright because it's in your hand. The Starbright Ultimate Boat Guard. It's a speed detailer. It's like a speed wax. It's in between the time when you really want to polish it all up. If you want to just put a little quick detail to it. The Ultimate Boat Guard is the one you want to use. It cleans and adds a shine and, enhances your color. You just spray it on and wipe it on until it's a haze, a little 18 by 18 inch area until it hazes up and then buff it off. And then you're shiny, shiny.
It works good.
Colored.
The key to this, though, I've used it a lot, is you gotta let it haze
You gotta
up.
let it dry up, just like a good wax.
On a humid day, it takes a little longer than 2 minutes. Where do you go to get it?
Starbright.com.
Okay.
All right, next we got some live target swim baits. We were talking about snook earlier. I was actually using a little croaker version of one of these earlier today. It was the one you were putting the hook in.
Yes.
But these things are great because, they have a nice profile. They look a lot like the fish that they're supposed to look like, the mullet and the pilchard and that little croaker. They just look just like they're supposed to look. And that kick and tail, makes them look alive. They've got a little doodad on the top that kind of is a weed guard for the big hook they got in there. And go to livetarget.com and get a swim bait because you can work those on the bottom, or they come in different sizes and weights as well. So
now we got some R&Rs.
Yes, sir. Those are some of the Ray's favorite sabiki rigs. If you're going to be, like we're talking about snook, they love live baits, and everything loves live baits. And if you want to catch live baits, it's hard to beat a sabiki rig. And Ray makes the best at R&R Tackle. The little ones here are the fluorocarbon ones, and they're made to catch little sardines and pilchards and little baits like that. They got a 10-pound main line with a 6-pound branch, and you can see they got little green or red heads, and you can get all red heads if you want, or all green if you want, but Ray likes that one because it's got a little mixture of both, so he doesn't know what they're going to be eating. The bigger ones there are made for goggle eyes, and they even make some bigger ones over there for tunas and whatnot, and they've got a 40-pound main line with a 20-pound branches, and all the fish skins on there are real glow-in-the-dark fish skins too, so they work really good when they're deep.
So tell me about the D-hooker. There's a D-hooker recommendation.
Well, yeah, exactly. On every one of these packs, it has a D-hooker recommendation, either a small or medium or a large. And if you don't use the proper D-hooker with the proper diameter and that curve right there, it can mess up the mouth of the bait. It crushes their mouth instead of actually just pulling the hook out.
Right.
So it's imperative that you use the right D-hooker, and Ray supplies all those as well.
And where do we find all this, Dave?
Well, that's rnrtackle.com.
Okay.
If you want to do that. All right. Next, we got some Gill UV, the new tech hoodie that they've got. It's Gill's been making offshore gear for sailboat fellas for quite some time, and this is an ultra lightweight. When you feel these things, it's like gossamer. It's very, very, very light stuff. It dries quickly. It's a moisture wicking. UPF 50 is what's the big deal with this tech material. Very, very sun protective. And you put the hoodie on and you're all set. And they got men's and ladies and all different sizes.
That's the ladies I picked up, obviously.
Right,
that was a little skinny girl.
Right. And plus they come with a thumb lock as well. So you can put your thumb in there and get it over your hand, which I like to do. I used to cut these things in my shirts, and now you don't have to do that. But gillmarine.com.
Nice stuff.
It is very nice. And they also make they have a new website called gillfishing.com. So you can go there and get some of that. Last but not least, we got some artwork from Courtney Marie Martin. She and Ohana Creations. If you go to ohanacreations.com, you can see all of Courtney's art. She does some really cool Hawaiian style art and Polynesian style, and she also does more realistic stuff, and she paints furniture. She makes art for the walls or mailboxes. She just does it incredible, and I love these decals. Kingfisher is my favorite bird, so that's why I had to buy them.
You're fond of that sticker, are you?
I am very fond of this sticker, yes I am. But go to ohanacreations.com and see Courtney's art. She's a great girl.
Ohana means family.
Yes, it does.
And family means nobody gets left behind.
There you go.
Lilo and Stitch coming at you.
That's sweet.
All right, the Alvy Reels Northeast region is full of surprises. So Tommy, tell us the unusual snook bite so far. I'm sure you know that quote very well.
I do, Brie, and I don't know if it's really not unusual anymore. Here in the Alvy Sidecast Reels Northeast region, we're probably not really well known for our snook fishing, but I'll tell you what, we've had an incredible summer, really the whole year of snook fishing here in my region. Now, after what has really been quite a few mild winters, we've been having the snook are thriving in my region with some of the biggest and the most snook that I've seen around in my lifetime. Now, the more consistent snook fishing is going to be on the south end of the region from Palm Coast all the way down to Daytona. And I've had some great reports coming in from Flagler Beach and the Tomoka Basin areas. The snook, they're up shallow, chasing those little shrimp in the small creeks and canals first thing in the morning right now. Toss a topwater plug early in the morning, or at dusk. And then a Saltwater Assassin Elite Shiner in that pearl color during the day when the sun is a little higher. Those have been working really well. Now, if lures aren't your thing, a large free line live shrimp is also going to work. And the nighttime snook fishing has been great as well, from Palm Coast all the way down to Ponds Inlet. Now, you can target the lighted docks and bridges when the tide's moving. You can use a diving lip plug or live shrimp or finger mullet. And there's a lot of smaller snook under those lights, but there are some big bruisers in there as well, especially around some of those bigger bridges. And there's also a good snook population in Jacksonville and in St. Augustine. And there's some key creeks like Pablo Creek, San Sebastian, and Pellicer Creek that hold snook, but there are also quite a few freshwater or brackish water lakes and golf course ponds that are going to be holding those snook as well. And there's been quite a few nice snook caught at the St. Augustine and Matanzas inlets this summer. Now look for some of those bigger snook to show up at those inlets during the fall mullet run that should start over the next few weeks and continue into the later fall. And I've got a picture here. You know, the guys from PalmCoastFishing.com sent me this picture of Matt Fitzgerald and his daughter with a really nice snook that they caught there in the Tomoka Basin. Now staying inshore, you know, the flounder bite continues to be strong this week throughout the region. You know, it's only going to get better as we head into the late summer and early fall. The inlets, they're still holding some really nice fish, but I've had quite a few reports of some bigger flounder being caught inshore in the creeks and the flats this week. With the mid-morning low tide, look for the finger mullet to be grouped up, and in turn, those flounder are going to be in those same areas. Now, those finger mullet rigged on a fish finder rig or a heavy jig head, just dragged slowly across the bottom is going to be the go-to. Now, with all the rain we've had over the last couple of weeks, the creeks closer to the inlets are probably going to be a good bet. It's going to be a little cleaner and saltier water, and those areas seem to be holding more of those bait fish and the flounder as well. Now, I spoke to Captain Buzz Brandon from NortheastFloridaAngling.com. He told me he's been doing really well on the flounder, fishing the small runouts on the last of the outgoing tide in and around Chickapit in Jacksonville. Buzz said he's had several fish in that 4 to 5 pound range this week. And I also spoke to Captain Chris Herrera from PalmCoastFishing.com. He tells me the creeks just inside Matanzas Inlet are also holding some big flounder on the low tide stage. And I've got another picture here. Mackenzie Jones sent me this picture of a really nice flounder that she caught near Mayport Inlet up there in Jacksonville. And guys, before I move offshore, I just wanted to remind everyone the CCA Star Tournament, it's still going on with plenty of tagged redfish left and a ton of awesome prizes. Now, I know my kids and I are having a bunch of fun with it. You know, they can enter their catches for a chance at some really great scholarships, amongst other things. So, you know, if you haven't signed up already, go to ccaflstar.com and check that out. Now, heading offshore, you know, I spoke to Captain Jimmy Laidler from thelegendfishing.com. He tells me the mutton snappers, they're chewing really good right now in those 140 to 165 foot depths. Captain Jimmy said he's been finding those snapper on the bigger pieces of live bottom in those depths. Now he's using a half Boston mackerel, or his favorite, a whole sardine stuffed into a squid body, which he calls the pig in the blanket. So Jimmy says those fish can be leader shy. So, you know, he's using 50 foot of 60 pound Diamond Fishing Products fluorocarbon to a 7 to 8/0 trocar circle hook. He says they're usually sitting on the upcurrent side of the structure, so you're going to want to set up accordingly. And those muttons are running anywhere from 10 to up to even 25 pounds. And I've got another picture. Captain Jimmy Laidler sent me this pic of his client, Justin Howard, with a nice mutton that he caught east of St. Augustine. How about that sunrise in that picture?
Gorgeous.
Nice.
Now, guys, just a quick kingfish report to finish things up. You know, the kingfish guys have told me that a lot of the fish that were hanging around inside of 10 miles on the reefs, they've moved out a little bit in that 12 to 15 mile range. There's still a bunch out there, and they're averaging about 10 to 20 pounds. Now, the really great news this week is that the pogies, they finally decided to show up along the beach. There's a bunch of them just north of the St. Augustine Inlet, and the kingfish and tarpon guys are going to be really happy about that. Let's hope that they stick around, because I'm going to get out there in the next couple of days and look for some tarpon myself.
All right, Tommy, good luck with that. You did a great job tonight. Appreciate the pictures. That was a really cool redfish on her shoulder. That was really cool. Tell her I said that. Inshore, hotspots from the strike zone northeast region inshore, snook from the Tomoka Basin to Palm Coast. Fish the bridges at night with a free line shrimp or a diving plug, and then offshore mutton snappers from 145 feet out to the ledge. Use Boston mackerel or the pig in the blanket, a whole sardine stuffed with a squid body. What do you think about this pig in the blanket?
I was just going to ask you if you've ever done that.
No, I don't know nothing about pig
pigs
in no blanket.
blankets. Well,
we'll talk at a commercial break about that pig in the blanket thing.
No, we won't. All right, hey Floridians, did you know you could win a new boat and other great prizes just for catching a snook? You just have to take a photo of any snook that meets the FWC minimum size requirement on the West Marine Star measuring device, and you could win a new Piranha boat powered by Yamaha. Oh, Rick, and speaking of winning a boat, Star has had another 4 iHeartRadio tagged redfish caught since last week for a total of 17 tagged redfish with no winner.
What?
Like crickets.
Dave,
you have to be registered.
You and Brie are gonna sign up, and we're gonna go and collect all this stuff next year. We're gonna win what you guys are not registering to win. I'm tired of this mess.
We're just tired. We're so tired
of this.
You have until October 4th to win, so make sure you go to ccafloridastar.com to sign up.
Come on, guys. It's not hard to win.
It hurts my heart. It hurts my iHeartRadio tagged redfish.
My iHeartRadio.
All right. We also want to remind you about the raffle being held on September 3rd for this beautiful red Chevy Chevelle 1970 that has been hanging with us in the studio, giving us a nice red glow. Make sure you purchase a raffle ticket for $25 that is donated to CCA, and you could be driving around in this
the last
pretty
week,
little thing.
Guys. The last
3rd.
week. Come on. You better get in there and get them.
Head to lovethefish.com to enter.
That's
All right, Floridians, the West Side has it going on this weekend, and when we come back, we're chatting with our captains from the Bell's Southwest and Discover Crystal River Northwest regions, so stay hooked. Me hooking them.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Alvi Reels, a better way to fish. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing, book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Finding a shoreline is easy. Finding a sure thing is not. For over 20 years, anglers from Kitty Hawk to California and every shore in between have come to know one thing: that nothing says no to fish bites. So just stop with the fishing and get busy with the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures or visit fishbites.com.
Come explore untouched Florida, where you'll step into holy sea cow and fish pristine waters where you'll reel in, whoa! Come discover Crystal River with exciting adventures and incredible surprises everywhere. From exhilarating river adventures to scalloping in the Gulf to delicious fish to fork cuisine, this is the place where you can relax into Just a short drive from Tampa and Orlando is the amazing Discover Crystal River, Florida. Learn more at discovercrystalriverfl.com.
Hello again. Captain Ron Houston is always ready to teach us something with his incredible words of wisdom, and today is our lucky day because he's got some tips that will definitely get you that Bell Southwest region snook up. Learn us, Ronnie.
Well, like always, it's a pleasure being here. But, the snook can be caught all year round. But it's the time of year you're going to need to know how to target this snook, especially if you're beginning to learn. So I'm going to give you some steps to follow. Late October through March, and that's all dependent on cold fronts and if air temps and water temps start to cool, you can simply target intercoastal docks and seawalls through the region at night. It's going to be an easy place to start. You're going to look for the lights, and you're going to be able to see the fish. But now that you know the fish are there, now you're going to need to know what baits you need to try. So your live shrimp, small 8-ounce bucktails, and 3 to 4 inch soft plastic shrimp and paddle tails. But still at that time of year, the backcountry, more tannic water. The snook like to move back, so it'll be the Peace River, the Caloosahatchee River, and the Everglades backcountry. Artificials, 3 to 4 inch poppers, prop baits, flies, soft plastic in the 3 to 5 inch range, shrimp, paddle tails, jerk sads, also lipless jerk baits. And last, mid-April through October, which will be spring, summer, and fall, it's going to be relatively simple to find them. Your bridge passes, your docks and seawalls. Beaches is really important, especially if the water is clean. You're going to be able to see these fish. It gives you a head start. Mangrove shorelines and outer Gulf points. And that time of year, your baits are going to be relatively easy as your live pilchards, your herring, your pinfish. On them hot, lazy days, your cut ladyfish and mullet. And most of the other fishes I've already mentioned. And I got a couple special pictures of a great man and a great father who I just recently lost. Still in his 80s, throwing plugs all day with some nice snook in the region. Now, the redfish. Got Brian Sanders to the south from Jack Daniels Key to Lawson River Report. There's still plenty of reds in the 19 to 25 inch range to be caught on the outer Gulf Islands, on the last half of the outgoing and the first half of the incoming, all the way up in the southern end of the region. But Captain Danny Latham still reports plenty of reds in the same range in the Pine Island Sound area. Key for him has been higher water along the mangrove shorelines and Independent Islands. Now, both captains are relatively using live baits, which is probably the easiest, and they're both using live pilchards and pinfish, as well as cut baits on those hot days. I got a couple nice pictures of some reds recently caught by Captain Brian Sanders to the south, and a nice redfish caught to the north with Captain Danny Latham. On the offshore side, still getting great reports of the red groupers. Plenty of limits through the region from Captain Mike Avignon and Corey McGuire, as long as we have moderate weather. Both guys are targeting depths, both south to north, and 70 to 90 feet. They're using a variety of cut baits such as squid, herring, and sardines. Also, Captain Corey likes to use the bonita strip. They're telling me important to have plenty of weight, 5 to 10 ounces, depending on the current. Got to have these baits on the bottom. But they also both suggest alternate cut baits to see what the fish might really be zoned in on. And I have a nice picture of a nice red grouper caught recently with Captain Mike Avignon. Mangrove snapper bite's still been consistent from Gordon's Pass to Sanibel. The bite's been consistent right now in 55 to 75 foot of water for some good fish, and even might improve with the 2 recent systems we've gone through the Gulf, because that's going to stir up the water and not make it as clean, and the fish really are not going to know you're there. Wrecks and ledges, box chum, cut up pilchards and herring, and either flatlining or just a little weight. But you can also use those on also bright colored jig heads, getting them back into the chum slick. Plenty of great fish, and hopefully when this system moves through towards the weekend as far as the forecast says.
All right, thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Catty Can hotspots from the Bell Southwest region. He says inshore, Spanish mackerel, Boca Grande Pass, and lower end of Charlotte Harbor. Look for birds using spoons and bucktails. And then offshore, the Permit, Indian Key to Wiggins Pass. Look in those wrecks, towers, and artificial reefs using live crabs starting as close as 8 miles and on out.
You know, Ronnie is so skilled at catching snook. Do you have a day that you specifically remember him catching snook?
Yeah.
Together?
Yeah. I mean, so Ronnie and I one time, and Chris, his brother, went down and fished off of Highland Beach, and we had just throwing artificial plugs, top waters, and it was just one after another, after another, after another. It was really awesome. And to be with both of them midnights, it was really cool. And they were from this big to this big. Houston sandwich. Yeah, man.
There we go.
I was in the middle of the Midnight Riders.
Oh, shoot. All right. The Discover Crystal River Northwest region is a great place to target snook. But if you listen to what Captain Jeff Hageman has to say, it will increase your hookup ratio twofold. Let's hear it, Hag.
Snook can be found through the lower half of my region all the way up to about Cedar Key. That's probably the northern part where you're going to be able to target them at. We do catch and fish a little bit north of that, but most of the fish are going to be to the south of Cedar Key where you can target them. They're very tidal. Everybody's gone over this. They like moving water flow. They sit in one spot consistently, waiting for the food to come to them. So they're an ambush predator. Keep that in mind when you're targeting snook, fishing points, creek mouths, river mouths, sandbar, passes, any kind of structure with good water flow. Piers, jetties, docks, bridges, rock piles will hold fish in our region. As far as baits go, live shrimp, sardines, pinfish, grunts, our favorite. As far as artificials goes, jerk baits, lip plugs, topwater, walk the doll style lures, and any kind of sardine imitation works really good on snook. They have great eyesight and gill rakers, so a good fluorocarbon leader is a must, anywhere from 25 to 40 pounds. And I've been using a lot of circle hooks lately for snook fishing and red fishing. And I feel I can get away with a lighter leader if they're a little leader shy, using those circle hooks, because you're going to get them right in the corner of the mouth. So that's a little tip to help you out there. Snook will also be enticed by chumming sardines. We do a lot of chumming in my region, especially in the lower half of it with live sardines. We have base chum bats cut off. We'll throw a whole bunch of baits out there. I'll also let you know where the fish are sitting. So you might be sitting in a spot with some good current flow, and you're chumming an area, and you might have a snook bust out of casting range. And once you fish out your spot, you can move down to where that fish is feeding. That's another great tip for catching them and positioning your boat. And I've got a photo here of a great West Coast snook.
Wow. Nice. Nice, Hag. All right, what else you got for us inshore?
The redfish bite has been good throughout the whole region. Captain Jimmy Huddleston at CaptainHud.com reports the Ozona redfish bite right now has been good in St. Joseph Sound with a lower water and stronger lunar tides. Many of the redfish are tailing right now, searching for crabs and shrimps on the flats. Sight casting with shrimp or scented plastics work best right now. Anglers can present right to a feeding fish. On the higher water, most of the fish are moving up under the tree lines and they're tucking up underneath the mangroves. So cut bait like ladyfish or mullet will draw them out. You need some good 30-pound fluorocarbon leader to help prevent break-offs when they get up in those bushes. Moving up to the upper part of my region, Captain John Lane with JB Charters out of Apalachicola reports his redfish bite is mostly on the flats, on the outgoing tide, and the edges of the grass and grass drop-offs. Live shrimp, pogies have been the bait of choice. He's using a 30-pound leader with about 18 inches of it and a 2-aught circle hook. And I've got a couple nice West Coast redfish photos from our two captains.
Nice. Looking good.
Good ones there.
Oh, there's a couple of big ones. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
The gag grouper bite's been good throughout the entire region right now. The western part of the middle grounds especially. The last week, rock piles, ledges, holding lots of fish. And I preach this a lot when I talk about bottom fishing. Got to start with a cut bait, frozen sardine, frozen Boston mackerel, octopus. When the bite slows down, fire down that pinfish or pigfish to get those picky fish to eat. You want to use a standard bottom rig right now with a 100-pound fluorocarbon leader and a 7 to 8-aught circle hook and 8 to 10 ounces of lead. And the mangrove snapper bite's been really good as well throughout the region. High relief structures, anywhere from 20 to 70 feet of water, knocker rigs, light leaders, the trick right now, but we had that pressure system Ronnie was just talking about. So the water's going to be a little cloudy. You might want to be able to get away with a little heavier fluorocarbon leader. But 1/2 ounce to 2 ounces of lead on a knocker rig, 2-aught to 3-aught circle hook. As far as bait goes, live shrimps and sardines and small pinfish have been working the best.
All right, Hag, thank you so much. Great report from the Discover Crystal River Northwest region. It is time for the Alta Equipment Hotspots. He says that inshore, redfish bite on the top of the tide, cut baits have been the most effective, fished around those oyster bars. And then offshore, the gag grouper bite has been good in 90 to 180 feet of water over the rock piles and ledges using hand-sized pinfish for bait. That's a big pinfish.
I mean, it depends on the hand.
I hope he's got longer fingers than this one.
Like mine.
Yes.
I got a good sized pinfish hand.
Yes, you do.
Really long.
But yours is a little malnutrition. Look at how thick this pinfish would be.
Malnutrition.
Little
We're checking out our last region here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. So stay hooked as we drift into the Garmin Panhandle region. When we return, now I have a finger complex. Thanks,
Yes, you
Rick.
do. Oh, I'm sure that's really going to hurt you.
Malnutrition fingers. I've never even heard that.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. The IGFA. Fish for the world. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. And Bells. Everything you need to live life local.
When you live on an island, surrounded by warm, clear water, and a million ways to enjoy it, it's amazing you'll ever have time to come up for air. Key West. Close to perfect, far from normal.
Get a great deal on the Kubota L-Series tractor. Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota L-Series tractor is the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. for over 10 years. With a powerful Kubota diesel engine and dependable gear or HST transmission, it's ready to take on your toughest projects. Right now, get the L2501 HST for payments as low as $149 a month.
Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's highest volume Kubota dealer.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Have you ever felt your heart pounding while feeling the power of a tarpon in the Florida Keys? Or experienced the changing colors of a mahi as you bring it on board? Whether it's in the Bahamas, the Florida Keys, Guatemala, or the Florida Everglades, Murphy's Law Sports Fishing has the ability to guide you to the fish of a lifetime. To book your trip today, call 305-246-0673 or go to murphyslawsportfishing.com.
Today's Power Pole tip, we're talking wireless remote controls. The Power Pole comes out of the box with 2 remote controls, a wireless key fob and a wireless dash switch. This dash switch is very smart. It has the ability to operate both power poles. If you have duals, you can operate your left one or your right one or both together. It also has this little speedometer here to change the poles from fast, medium, and slow depending on your fishing situation. As always, all our remote controls have auto deployment up and down. If you double tap any remote control, the pole will automatically come up, or double tap the down button and it'll go automatically down. We added a new feature to the Sea Monster app. If you go into System Configuration and you hit your remote controls, you can scroll up, change any of those remotes from a double tap to a single tap, which is really nice and fast when you're out on the water. That's your Power Pole tip.
You know what next is going to be, hey Siri, will you put my power pole down?
Hey.
Bring it up, put her
Yeah.
down. All right, if you're one of the lucky
That would be
ones,
cool.
that would be cool. If you're one of the lucky ones that have caught snook in the
down.
Garmin Panhandle region, go buy yourself a lottery ticket. But for the rest of us, Captain Pat Deneen has some other options. Talk to us, Pat.
Yes, Brie, that is true. There are a few snooks that have been caught up here, but they're like winning the lottery, so that's correct. But I tell you what we do have is Spanish mackerel, and we have some big Spanish mackerel right now. They're in all the bay systems and also in the nearshore Gulf. In the bays, you're going to find them on the deeper grass edges and on the points and around those the deeper mid-bay bridges. Work those deeper grass edges with topwater chuggers. Captain Wes Rozier over in Pensacola swears by a chug bug style topwater bait, and he catches plenty of really big Spanish mackerel to prove it works. Another great technique is to set up on the points or on those deeper mid-bay bridges and chum. Cast your net, fill your live well with pilchards, start chumming, and bring the Spanish mackerel to you. Use a trace of metal to prevent cutoffs or deal with some cutoffs, and use 50-pound monofilament for a leader of fight tippet. Spanish are running 4 to 5 pounds right now in the bay. And then staying inshore, Apalachicola Bay, West Pass, Indian Pass, St. Vincent Island, Triple tail fishing has been really consistent lately. They're finding them on floating structure, day markers, and crab traps. On an outgoing tide particular, you're going to find them outside the pass on the tide line or just free swimming. Use a live shrimp or a peanut pokey under a float or a suspending soft plastic swim bait like a worm hook bass assassin. You want to cast your float and bait past the fish, slowly bring it back to where the fish is, and then pause it, let the fish find your bait, maybe chug your float a couple times to kind of give them a heads up. The triple tail are running up to and well over 10 pounds. And there's a photo of Bob Solly and a motley crew from Fort Walton Beach who spent the weekend over in Appalachia last weekend with some nice triple tails they caught outside Indian Pass. So,
nice.
Fun crew right there.
I bet.
Hey, moving offshore, Rick, obviously it's been real rough this past week due to the tropical storm activity in the Gulf. But good king fishing has been occurring throughout the Panhandle offshore waters. The water has that kind of a king green color. It's not a blue. It's just that green water that you go, man, this looks like king mackerel water. And it is holding plenty of kings and big Spanish. Slow troll live cigar minnows or herrings, or if specifically targeting the bigger kings, blue runners, mullet, or bluefish all make great baits. You're going to find the mackerels over near shore, around the bait schools, or further offshore over bottom structure like natural limestone bottom or artificial wrecks. Nose hook your baits with either a single hook or a treble hook, and have a stinger hook positioned towards the tail. That stinger hook will generally be the one that gets the fish. The kings are running 10 to 20 pounds. And then finally offshore, vermilion snapper, and some big ones are being caught in both state and federal waters. Generally the bigger ones are coming from deeper federal water, but either way you're going to find them on bottom structure, again, both at natural bottom and artificial structures like barges and wrecks. Most common technique is a 2-hook chicken rig baited with cut herring or squid, but many of the light tackle guys are stepping it up, targeting these vermilion snappers by fishing small pilchards, herrings, or small live cigar minnows on a spinning tackle with a light leader and a Carolina rig. In addition to vermilion, the mangrove snappers and lane snappers are falling to the light tackle technique. The vermilions are running 1 to 3 pounds, with a 3-pounder being a very nice one. And Rick, I did my homework. You asked about that amberjack photo from last week. I talked to Jason Hallmark, and his first question was, I'm not sure. We caught 2 of them that day. One was 104 pounds and one was 101 pounds. So.
Wow, that's a house of pain. So Pat, I got a
What
couple
a day
questions for you. One of the questions, we just did a show out of Naples to the Pulley Ridge, and we had to run 170 miles one way. And so, what's 170 get you if you run out of Destin?
Oh my God, if you go due south, you're going to be at Lloyd's Ridge, which I'm not sure where that ridge is that you're talking about. But if you go southwest, there's a world of deep water floating rigs and drill ships that you can get to.
And so what are you catching there?
Blue marlins. Man, the guys this past week before it got rough, I know a friend of mine's son, 5 for 7 on blue marlins. Last week a boat went 11 for 13 on blue marlins. They're live baiting them with tunas, and so the blue marlin bite's been pretty strong all summer.
All right, now how far do we got to go if we come up there and do a vermilion snapper show with you, bud? How far are we going to run in the contender?
3 to 5 miles. Maybe
How far?
10.
How far? I couldn't hear you.
3 to 5 miles, maybe 10. We don't have to go too far.
Oh, man, we could be back for lunch. I like it.
That's right.
All right, bud, thank you so much for answering my ridiculously funny questions. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. He says inshore, big redfish at Hathaway Bridge, using top waters and soft plastics during the afternoon falling tide. And then offshore, king mackerels and big Spanish mackerels over the structure and around the bait schools using live baits. You know why those redfish bite on the outgoing tide?
Why?
Because you have all that bay water, which is tannic, and as it changes color, gets dark, they can't see your leader, boom. That's it.
Boom.
You know about the boom.
You know about the boom. I could take some of that blue marlin, by the way.
Yeah?
That sounds so much fun. And I've never caught one, so
Oh boy, here we go.
Bucket list.
That's an
All
invite
right.
for herself.
It is. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Snook season is almost here, and now you know all there is to go out there and catch them up. But stay tuned because there's more to catch next week right here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We'll be right back with your Species of the Week.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
Why is Casa Vieja Lodge on everyone's bucket list?
Left teaser! Left flat as well, 2 fish! They're everywhere! Right flat teaser as well! Left flat, right flat teaser!
Come to Casa Vieja Lodge and check it off your list.
Next week, we're talking yellowtail. So make sure you tune in.
They're
delicious.
delicious.
They're good.
They are delicious.
Especially those who
I
have
think
page.
people should send us on
the
Facebook
double
their
whammy?
favorite yellowtail recipe, and we'll pick the one we like the best and
then
feature
I'll make it.
We'll cook it.
Yeah.
Right here.
Right.
Oh, Dave, I just want to show everyone your shirt. It's so cute with all the lures on it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
See my
we'll be
back
here
fat.
next week.
Night-night, guys.
Talking yellowtail. Bye.
Bye.